And the final thing is just to test that we have all the wiring right. Well, so far this summer, the weather has really played to our favor. We have gotten a ride almost every day, and let's hope this tradition continues for a while. The weather's been hot. We've been trying to get out really early in the morning. We've been trying to take advantage of the fact that the mornings are cool, and we've added a few new roads, and some of them are shady, some are not so shady. We've added them to the loops that we normally do, and we always try to be back home, you know, before the real super heat of the day. But no matter what, nothing is better than getting up early in the morning, getting all those farm chores done, getting all the nonsense we have to feed the fish and everything. Have an extra coffee, extra, not 1 cup, not 2, extra coffee. Then you're all hyped up. You feel like Valentino Rossi. You look down at the speedometer, you're going 42 miles an hour. But you're having a lot of fun. And our 43-year-old GS, 38 years old, not 43. There's our 43-year-old RD. But you know what? What I really like is most of the stuff in this garage is old. I live in an old house. I have old motorcycles. Actually, I have 2 old cars. Everything is old, but including me. But somehow we've survived a lot of years. And as old as everything is, we still seem to have a lot of fun. Even some of these fish, that big fish there, that fish is over 20 years old. I guess there's something special about being old here. You fit right into the picture. I really hate to say this another morning, and we have not caught that groundhog yet, but boy, Karen's garden, as we do the perp walk here, holy mackerel, we just go from one nice thing to another. It has been, it is a banner year for Karen's garden. Well, you just wonder, could life be any better? You're on a Ponderosa. It is truly a very special summer for us. And maybe for you too. Well, any garden, including this one, is always truly a labor of love. I don't think there's any other word for it. So while I'm out riding, we're going to come home to some chocolate muffins. And I'll have to sample one, of course, as soon as I get home. There's a chance it's going to rain today, so maybe these muffins will taste even better. Hand-picked lettuce right from... We got lettuce that the groundhog didn't get yet. We're going to get him now. So today I never even got the bike out of the garage. The plan changed. We have some family stuff we have to take care of early in the morning. And I thought when I get back it'll already be too late to ride. And so what I'll do is I'll swap out that battery. Now keep in mind, all summer our plans change by the minute because of our grandson, because of our kids both owning their own businesses, and it's just chaos in the summer. And today is one of those days. So this will be a good little thing to get done today, because I really didn't want to ride the bike anymore with that 8-year-old, actually it's probably 8.5 years old battery. And it'll be a good thing to change that out today, and then if it's a nice day tomorrow, we'll be all set to go. So as plans change, I have to become a parking lot attendant here for the next 10 minutes. So with all the bikes moved, I didn't plan on doing this today, but the way things worked out, well, you can imagine. Anybody who has grandchildren knows how unpredictable life can be. But we'll use this time, rather than just waste it, I'll use the time that's left over today to get that battery in. And then one more step of this, there still are a few details left. I'm still researching out the steel brake lines and possibly an upgraded shock for the back. Still some stuff to do on this, but in the meantime, we're riding it regularly. So to try to do a real unboxing here, I've already unboxed it, so this really is not a real unboxing. But I always, a couple of the golden rules, I always save the box just in case this has to go back for an exchange. And that's what I like about buying stuff from Amazon. Never a problem if you got to exchange it. Anyway, there's directions in here and bills and things that tell you. They also give you a nice set of jumper wires that, because they assume battery tender, that you're going to use a battery tender. But there's also directions in this. It has some kind of a protective charging circuit. I'll read this. Of course, it's in every language except English. And here's the key thing. These little rubber pieces that hold the battery in place, because these batteries are physically smaller than the ones they replace. Now, I want to, of course, number one, save the boxes in case this has to go back. And from time to time, even those video cameras have to go back. But I don't want to, I don't even want to open the packages until I see, number one, step one is, I've got to take the old battery out, make sure this fits, make sure I get all those rubber pieces around it. And what's nice about battery tender batteries, they have the thing so you can put the battery in either way. The old-fashioned batteries didn't have that. They had a tube that overflowed acid onto the back tire, and so they're expensive. They're more expensive, but they're so light. I mean, there's nothing to these. The other one, the battery it replaces, is probably 5-6 pounds heavier, if that matters. And if you're high performance oriented, but the big thing is, all of these things have, now I'm going to read the part of this. This one has got a smart lithium engine start battery, and it's got some kind of a reset button here. So obviously step one is I've got to read some directions. So I thought I'd come into the house and read the directions, have another cup of coffee, because this day is going to be like all unpredictable days in my life. There are good news and bad news. Good news is there are 12 muffins. There's 12 muffins as of now. There won't be in about 5 minutes. As soon as they cool. How long they got to cool off, Care?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Just enough time to have an extra cup of coffee. Now, I thought I'd share a couple things that I was not aware of. Now, this is a new one. I don't have any with this little case on top. Smart lithium engine start battery. This is like an override, and what it is, and I'm glad of course I don't read the directions. But anyway, there's a reset button on this, and they tell you, here are some of the things not to do. Never charge the battery below freezing. Well, I didn't know that. On the ones I have, I've been charging below freezing. I hope I haven't damaged them. Doesn't look like it, because maybe they're the old style, and maybe it only has to do with this. I'll have to do a little more research on this. But one of the things it tells you on this is if you have a reset button. That's what this is. Now, I don't have a reset button on any of the other ones. So let me see what goes on here. And where's the reset button? I thought this was just a charging wire, but well, maybe that's something you can pick up off the video. But now this thing is supposed to keep it from overcharging like a fuse would, or if you're charging it with a charger that's too powerful, more than 14 volts, it keeps you from frying the battery. So it's, in a way, it's just like all modern things. It has a good side and a bad side. And the bad side is there's a little complication to it. Now, this is pretty cool. This is the battery tenders, okay, and they got a fuse. And this is the reset button. Now, the reset button, I noticed they didn't give you a screw for this. I guess you got to supply your own screw. And then you have a reset button. So here's the reset button. I thought this was a charging thing. Shows you what I know. So anyway, I've got to really carefully look at how they want you to do this. They do give you a diagram. I actually have to read it again, because I don't want to screw the pooch here and do anything wrong. So, but apparently this little attach the battery reset terminal to the ring of the battery with the supplied hardware, and I guess that's a button. I don't know. This is getting complicated, guys. Okay, so this is what they want you to do. This, obviously, there's a plus and a minus to the battery, and there's a little I don't know why they don't give you the screw too. Luckily I have plenty of screws. But here's what this is. Now, it looks like, and it serves two purposes. This is, of course, you can recharge it, so you can leave this hanging out under the seat or somewhere inconspicuous and not have to take the seat off the bike or the cowl or the tank or something to get in at the battery. Every bike is different. But here's the part that's a little tricky, and of course we want to share information here. Let me put this back up. I don't want to demolish this here. Okay, so this will wind up under the seat of the bike. There's a little button here. Now, because sometimes these batteries have it's got this circuit on top that it'll say, okay, something's wrong, and it won't let the battery go on. So it won't let it charge or uncharge or whatever. So obviously a short circuit would do that, or some blown fuse or whatever. You're supposed to hit this reset button, and that's a little click. You can hear it click, and then it's supposed to give it another chance to do that. And under certain conditions in cold weather, they say below freezing. Now, I don't go riding traditionally because there's ice on the road, but below freezing I keep the batteries charged. So this is one thing I'm glad I found out, is that below freezing you don't charge them, and I use battery tender chargers, of course, so you would think they're going to be compatible. But anyway, this is the little tricky part, is this little button when we actually do the install. Okay, so obviously I lied. When I opened up the little package of screws, there's the little screw that you need to put the reset button on. So good for me, and you can tell all those years in college were not wasted. Let's see if we can just get this screw in here without sure, if you have 6 little baby fingers you can, but if you're me with these big clumsy hands, let's see if they can get this. Is so this is a little different, and I would expect it's just like anything more modern and better in some way. There's always going to be some issue that makes it a little more of a headache to work on or something, but we'll get this. It's not a problem. Now the only issue left is we got to, okay, that's nice and tight. Now that hooks up our reset button. We can click this anytime we have to. If this for all practical purposes consider a fuse, that this would then just protect the battery. The battery is then not connected, and by hitting this little button, this actually probably acts like a fuse. Then we've got to take the old battery out. Okay, so removing the old battery, kind of cut and dry. In this case, I'm not sure until I actually take it out, but one of the things I will do is, let's see, that's for the radar detector, that's for the charger, and this is for the motorcycle. So we've got all of that stuff off. Positive one is off. This weighs a ton compared to the other one. And by the way, just so everybody knows, we did get 7 good years of service out of it, but I think it's on the way out. And what I did, I just took some spray wax. I just want to clean what's in here. It is dirt and grit and whatever, so we have a nice clean install when we're done. And actually, I have to admit, this is something I should have done in the middle of the winter, and I just forgot. It's so consumed with other things that, okay, the battery box is nice and clean. Now we just have to see how that's going to fit and how we can put the little rubber pieces around it. Now just for reference purposes, I wish I had a scale handy. This is probably 5-6 pounds heavier. This is so light it's ridiculous. And so what I'm looking at is the battery obviously is a little bit smaller by that amount, and that's why you have these rubber blocks, because you don't want the battery jiggling around in there. So it's a little bit wider, a little bit narrow, but the height is the same. So, well, again, for people that might not understand, that's why you need those rubber things to jam them in there and get the battery nice and from vibrating itself or just making unnecessary wear and tear from rubbing on the motorcycle. Now you can see the wires in a motorcycle are on the throttle side, so we have the choice. Let me just show this. We have the choice either on this battery, we have the choice of having it on this side or flipping it around, but that's nice. That's one of the little luxury features of this. And I'm not sure how this ultimately is going to play out, whether it protects the battery, because I don't know anything about electronics, of course, what it's going to protect the battery from, but I know if I have any issues at all, I'll know where that reset button is. So that's, well, that's a good reason to read the directions. Every once in a while I do read the directions too. And that's why they give you this bag with all different sizes of, they've already cut the size. And the ones you have left over, I would save, because you can use these for a lot of other things. For instance, where you have a rattly part on a motorcycle, a side cover that's loose or something, you can use these just to jam a little piece of rubber and keep everything from vibrating. This is really good closed cell. This foam is wonderful, and I've never thrown any of them away. You always find something to use that for. Now here's one of those really good tips. What'll happen, you go to put this in a motorcycle and you can't get these pieces because there's a part here, so you can't get these in place. And so what happens, you put them in place here, you go to put the battery in the motorcycle and they fall out into the motorcycle. So I found a thing that works for me is on the bottom of them, I take a drop of wheel bearing grease, just one drop. You don't need more than that. The wheel bearing grease holds that little piece in position without having it fly away, and it'll just make the install just a little bit easier. And when we're all done, we're going to put a little drop of grease on both of the terminals anyway, even though you really only need it on the positive terminal. Now that's going to hopefully, let's see, we're going to find out. I'll press them down. What that's going to do is just hopefully hold that in place when I go to put the battery in, that they don't fall out. Nice little tip. So we know there's plenty of room to spare, if anything. We know we need the reset button over there, and we need to put these two wires on with this. So I've got to do my, let's see, we need the positive wire from this. This is the positive one. We need that. That's a little bit too big, so we'll put that on top. And we need the one that goes to the radar detector, which is this one. So now I've got to get the screw. And hopefully this will be, I guess I should have done the negative one first. The genius electrician that I am. In fact, you know what, I won't tighten this up. I'll just leave it loose for now. So now with both wires, they're both loose, they're not tight yet. I need to route and see where these wires are going to, this is the wire that goes up to power the radar detector, and I don't want that in a vulnerable spot. I guess right there is okay. Let's see if we could move it. Yeah, I think we can. I want to get these as innocuous as they can be. We want these to be around here. Let this go around here. This go around here. And of course we want to have the positive one covered with, once I tighten these up, that'll go over that, that'll go over that. Then we have to find somewhere to, I guess I can put this reset button down around here for obvious reasons. Or if you are having constant problems, you can just let it hang out the side of the bike. I don't anticipate we're going to have any problems, so just neatening this up, and I want to find out exactly where, because I always carry a spare fuse too. I guess I can push that up under the tank a little bit. That would make that a little bit neater. And so the last thing will be, just torque these down. Making sure you don't touch a screwdriver or a wrench to the positive and to the frame at the same time. Now the last thing is, if we were not to do this final step, what would happen? This would be rattling around. So we've got to get whatever parts of that rubber to kind of hold that in position. Now this is one of the critical things, is I'm stuffing these rubber pads down in there just to hold the battery solid. And that battery, you can move the motorcycle by it now. And that vibration for sure is not going to work. You don't want to have any vibration. So now I just got to move these wires around so they all seem to have enough wire attached to them. And well, I got to stuff that one down there, maybe with a little piece of rubber, but I want to have a nice, when I'm all done here, I want as many of the wires to be out, just that they're not rubbing on anything or rubbing on the seat. And I would always save all of these. They're worth their weight in gold. Also, I would save the old battery. Now this battery is good in the middle of the winter for testing things. When I want to test anything that I just don't want to take the seat off the bike, I can bring whatever, a bulb, anything that I want to test, right down here. And I have having a spare battery down in the cellar. If you keep this in the cellar and charge it once every month or so, it's probably going to be good for test purposes. And where this really came in handy, when I was working on the instrument panel on the GS, and I had to keep checking and testing and checking, route things, move things, change bulbs. Boy, was it handy, as opposed to having to come out to the motorcycle and use jumpers. So having a spare battery, always a good thing. And that turned out to be just about the nicest, neatest install of any of these batteries. That went very well. And I hope there's some little tips you picked up from this. Now, here's the couple of things. These come charged to 70%. You're supposed to let them charge to full charge. I'm not in a rush to ride the bike today. In fact, it's too late in the day for me to ride anyway, with all the family stuff going on. So just having this done, I'm ready. I'll let that charge overnight, and tomorrow we'll be ready to ride again. And the final thing is just to test that we have all the wiring right. And we should be good to go. It's pretty funny, but I have found something that does make putting this seat on a little more, well, just easier, I guess. I put a little bit of wheel bearing grease on that nylon and on all the little spots where it rubs, because it can be annoying that this is, when that part dries out. So today was about as unpredictable as you could ever imagine. But in the bottom line is, we're ready to go on this. It's just got to sit overnight on charge. I'm happy we got this done today. This one more step of getting this guy absolutely ready for the next 10 years. And maybe I don't even have 10 years left, so maybe for sure he's going to outlive me. It's only a question of when. Anyway, I want to thank all the healthcare workers, like I try to do. I hope I never forget. Thank you guys for getting us through this COVID virus, and I hope we don't have a comeback and a spike and all that other stuff. But here's the bottom line. Putting a battery in a bike, something an average mechanic can do, an average guy. These lithium batteries have worked well for me. Not sure if they've worked well for you. And so, I hope the information on this video is of some value, and we will get to ride the next day or so. Let's hope. Let's hope it's going to be a summer like it was prior to today, where we were riding every day. So again, hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoy making them, and thanks for watching.